I see. All right. Now I know that audio is working. My apologies for your ears if you were on headphones. That was not pleasant. All right. I'm also on headphones. And so that was pretty loud. Um, okay. So it is Thursday, April 4th, and this is Red Ben Trader. You can reach me on Twitter at Red Ben Trader, or else if you want to learn more about the algo and trading systematically, you can talk to my coach, Simon. You can reach him by email at trade, letter N, word perform at gmail.com. You can request a 5-day free pass to trade with us in the trading room. There is a cost to trade in the trading room monthly. You can talk to Simon about all that. Just give him an email. And that's all the marketing I'll be doing for this session. So, what we are looking at, for those who are new, is these are all NQ charts, but they're Renko. They're not candlesticks. The size of the Renko bar can be seen in the bar here. So NQ, and then it's 15T, which is 15 tick. So Renko 15 tick. So if you're wondering what all of the sizes are and stuff, it's up here. But all of these charts are the same. It's the same information, right? Now I can hide some of the drawings and make things a little bit easier to see, but I know it's a lot to look at. We're not gonna I'm not gonna dig in and explain what everything means. That's really not the point. But just know that all of these alerts are letting me know when things are occurring on the footprint that we find relevant to looking for trades. So that's where they all come from. It's just a conditional alert system, so that we can focus on executing trades based on pattern recognition rather than having to spend time interpreting whether or not this is a good spot or this is a good spot. Like that's already kind of been determined what to look for, and it's just a matter of waiting for that to happen. So today I did not perform as well as I wanted to. I am struggling with integrating a lot of new ideas. I tend to go kind of through phases, kind of like the market, I guess, where I'll find a few setups that I'm real happy with and stick with those, and that's usually pretty successful for a while. And then eventually the market regime shifts and you kind of have to make some adjustments, right? And lately, sometimes I can make those adjustments pretty quickly, but lately I've had trouble what I call integrating, determining which systems to give precedence to. And the challenge is oftentimes as I'm building new ideas, the rest of the room is also coming up with new ideas, and the ideas that Simon's sharing are always better than and already kind of researched compared to something that maybe I think I see but don't really have great evidence yet of whether or not it exists. So it's easy for me anyway to get stuck asking myself, should I try to learn something new that appears to work, but is going to take some time to learn, or should I just keep doing what I did yesterday and not worry about it, but not worry about shifting because it's not necessary, right? Well, some of the new ideas that Simon has shared recently have been really exciting, and so I've been anxious to get them working, right? But these things take time. Building a new setup into your system is not something most of us can do overnight. Some in the room are really good at that, just adjusting on the fly, just trusting what they're doing and executing appropriately. I am not one of those people. I tend to, I'm not super slow about it, but it usually takes me at least 1 or 2 trading days to integrate something new. I can't, and it primarily has to do with my own self-confidence. When I took some time to journal about it a little bit, it has nothing to do with recognizing the signal or the pattern. It's got to do with trusting the pattern and deciding what to do when there are conflicts. So an example of a conflict that, and I'm sure everyone's experienced this if you traded, whether or not you've used an algo or candlestick charts or a footprint or anything, is you can have two different ideas that are both relatively like consistent and usually valid, but they may both be present, giving you a suggestion that the opposite action needs to be taken. So, for instance, if you have a pretty trustworthy setup saying that this is a spot I should be looking for a long, but then you get another pretty consistent setup saying that if so and so happens, it would be a short. How to deal with that, and whether or not, if that, for instance, in that scenario, whether or not it's setting up short or signaling short should get you out of your long, should you reverse, or should you totally ignore it because the signal that you already were in the trade with is like takes precedence over it somehow, right? Well, one way to solve that we've come up with is to always give precedence to higher time frames. And this is just kind of a general rule of trading that I learned when I was a swing trader, but it also applies to day trading. So, an example everyone probably is familiar with is if you are trying to plan out your day and the daily chart is bearish and your and things are looking bearish on the higher time frames, but your 1 minute chart triggers you, tells you that you can take a long. It's not that you can't make money taking that long, but when the short sets up and the short aligns with the higher time frames, you probably want to ignore the long setups until that short fails. And that's just because markets are fractal, and when there's bigger participants and more participants, the higher you go in time frame. So, for instance, if this applies to the algo, right, as well as the candlestick chart. And so, as an example, we know. Let me just find something here. So we know. Well, let's see. We're going to take a look at. We'll simplify this down into two. How's that sound? So the one on the left is a higher time frame than the one on the right. I don't want people to get too worried about the exact numbers and stuff. It's just unless you're using the algo, like that doesn't really matter. I'm talking about this conceptually. So if I'm looking here, right, or let me go even further back. The bigger time frame had momentum, right? The purple in the background is momentum to the downside. And we're making lower lows and lower highs, right? We have not overcome that high. And so it's bearish on the higher time frame. If I then zoom all the way in to the smallest time frame that I trade, what I'm going to see is some patterns that are often associated with longs. So you can't really see it, but there's a star in there, and then this is a green bar, and it's on a higher low, and it's followed by a triangle. That alone is, if it's bullish, is a pretty good scalp. And then you might even have had a trap back in here. I don't think it was on the blue dot, but I don't think it quite was. But one way or another, when I know that when you have a big aggressive bar with a lot of signals like this, and you trade under him like that, but then you reclaim it, if they aggressively attack, so a star or a diamond, and that attack fails, usually you're going higher. But on the higher time frame, it's bearish. And so in those sort of situations, the challenge is you don't just want to buy this and put your stop here and think, well, this is bullish, it's breaking out, that's not going to work. That kind of momentum trade is not usually going to work when you're fighting the higher time frame trend. You could say, but look, you're in a good spot to buy. There was support here. You're bouncing off the channel. Volume is shifting up, which is the yellow line. You're above the dotted line, which is an important condition as well. All of those things do look like they might be trying to turn the market on the higher time frame, but it hasn't. The question is really, it's when can we confirm that that reversal is valid on the higher time frame? Because then once we do that, the lower time frame reversals like this exact same setup, you can much more confidently participate here is the idea to the long side, since you're at good location and the higher time frame has confirmed. So and in this case it does go a little higher, but if I remember correctly, it then gives it up. So if you got long anywhere in here, you probably got your risk off, but like this one stops out. So maybe you got one scalp here, or maybe you got a scalp here, but if you tried to get in here, it fails if you thought that this was the low, right? And then right after it fails, let me just erase the lines quick. Right after it fails miserably, right? And then that low holds, if I remember correctly. Yeah, so this low, oh, I guess it's this one. This low then holds. So it stays bearish, but that low ends up holding. So in other words, you did have opportunities here on the tiny time frame to make money to the long side if you wanted to, and some of them worked. But and like here's another like aggressive signal that said to go long, and the location's right. If you've seen my videos before, you'd kind of recognize, like, hopefully, that it's like it's setting up at the bottom and trying to lift off basically with aggressive signals. And if it's bullish, that's usually a momentum trade. So like this, right? All those green bars, all the stars, all the dots, like anything like that sets up in the right spot, which is at the bottom of this channel, not at the top. And particularly if it's followed by a white triangle, pretty much all of those white triangles are long. See that? White triangle, white triangle. They all lift. And if you put your stop behind the aggressive bar, even the ones that don't immediately lift eventually take off, right? So all of those longs are working. And so it can be confusing. It's like, wait, the higher time frame is bearish, yet all my longs in the smaller time frame are working. And that happens. But eventually, until the higher time frame actually confirms that it's done going down, eventually something is going to stop out if you keep doing that, right? Eventually, you're going to take this, and it goes, now that one didn't give you a triangle, but let's find a triangle that fails. This one, this triangle, and maybe this one, right? So like star, triangle up, maybe you get 10 points there. No, I don't think you do. So this one might fail, right? So you got one stop. And then, is that the low? Yeah, you get stopped out at the low, basically. Oh, no, one more. This one stops out, right? So you'd immediately, this is usually what happens, I'll be honest. I've seen this so many times, and I'm sure everyone else has too. You think you've got the turn. You think it's ready to go the other direction, and you've got the reversal. You take the trade, you take the breakout, let's say, right? What you think is a breakout, and it fails, and it takes out the low, and it's like, that's okay, it's just a stop, I'll catch the next one. Then it gives another signal, another triangle that says, hey, it's getting, people are getting aggressive again, right? And so you buy this one, and that one stops, and it's like, well, damn, I guess I was wrong about this reversal. What's probably going to happen now? The next triangle is probably going to squeeze all the people that shorted in the hole out of that trade. And then, since you finally got the breakout, now all of a sudden, triangle up, goes higher, triangle up, squeezes, triangle up. You can still chase, and you're still getting rewarded, right? Well, what we see on the higher time frame is something, a pattern that Simon introduced that I'm not going to go into deeply, because I mean, if you want to know about it, just join the room or do a trial in the room, and he'll teach you all the ins and outs of it. But the gist of it, let's just say, is since I got a star here, and that star is so deep down, we've dug deep underneath this blue channel here. What's colored blue here? And we've come back in, we've closed back in, we've gotten a star, and then it's even better, it's followed primarily by, what's most important is it's followed by a triangle. So once we get that triangle, the likelihood that you can momentum trade basically improves to the long side. So watch what so that occurred at 13,066, right? So it occurred right here. Okay, that's where the triangle was. Now, was there a way to get long before that? There was. There were many ways, right? I just showed you. If you identified back here this little pattern of triangle fails, and then you look what's happening on the downside. Look at the difference here. What happens when this triangle fails? Triangle tries to go, they get under it. Look at volume. This is accumulated volume. Pretty significant, right? So that's the volume. And then look at what they got for all that volume. Because remember, volume is effort. For every tick of volume, or whatever you want to call it, for every contract of volume, someone's putting money in the market. That is effort. And for that effort, traders want to see some reward. Otherwise, they're going to assume that they might be wrong and getting absorbed, or at least might not have anybody following them in. So if there's a lot of volume and no movement, it's probably absorption. And if there's just no more volume and no movement, well, then they're just done, right? So either way, volume is very important to watch. Well, look what happens. So like I said, they get a big move down after breaking underneath a triangle. Accumulated volume makes a pretty large wave, right? Bigger than the previous one. If you see this, little wave, big wave, right? Lots of volume on the second one. Lots of room. You even had what we call a little S curve here. See the little? It's almost like I don't know, like a backwards N or whatever, like that little this. I'm sure there's a name for that in like Elliott wave, but whatever that's called, seeing that little wiggle is that's what happens during impulse moves and during trends. Is you get these like micro bursts without coming all the way back up to the channel. Here, I can find another one. Here. So what they look like on my chart typically is a dot here. See the yellow dot on the downside? It'll be a dot. Okay. The first step is going to be, I'm going off a little bit of a tangent, but I think it's kind of neat to see this. So if you have a bearish bar that touches or goes beyond this gray-white channel, right? Bearish bar. If that bearish bar is followed by a triangle, that's red. And then you break underneath the brown one, the brown channel, right? If you then get a lift and produce, especially if you produce a yellow dot, basically saying that we got a lift in volume aggression, but not in on the volume zone oscillator. And I'm not going to go, if you want to learn more about those, just like look at my other videos. I talk about them many times. So this one's proprietary. This one you can find on Sierra Chart. But when you see that and it occurs, if you see this little gray line, If it occurs below that gray line, and like I said, if you had this drop and then this lift, and then it gets back below the channel again, that's probably going to be a relatively big wave. You're probably going to get a lot of volume. You better get a lot of volume, otherwise it's the last wave. And you're probably going to get a lot of movement. Okay? If the white dot is way far away from the channel like this, and you've already gotten quite a bit of a move, and especially if most of the volume was higher up, and in my chart, what that looks like is this dotted line up here. If that's far away from your dot, and the dot's far away from the channel, this is going to be what I call a linchpin. Okay? If we can get over the linchpin, the potential for bullish trades to start working increases. Stars start working, and triangles up can work as well, but you need a pullback for that to work. You don't want to be, in my opinion, I don't really want to be buying this at the top of the channel, unless the higher time frame has already given me that triangle up down here. Okay, so it's a little bit of a tangent, but I'm going to show you where that comes in handy, and then that relates to what I was talking about with the big volume, because look at how this low played out. And again, this is Thursday. This is today, this morning's low. Well, I guess it was right into lunch, I suppose. Yeah, so let's see, where was I? So here's the, so we have, now this one did not get the yellow dot. Well, in fact it did, but it got shifted down, which happens sometimes, right? So, but still, we got that little wiggle, whatever you want to call that, right? Like I said, I'm sure there's a name for it. I'm not going to worry about the technical term, but that to me means we have an impulse wave down, and especially when accumulated volume's building compared to the last wave, I'm going to assume that the next triangle up, and again, the triangle in the opposite direction of this, is probably going to lose, right? This triangle, or this triangle, the next wave up is probably going to be a retracement, not a V reversal. V reversals do happen, okay? They do, but they're not common, especially once you've gotten that. And especially if you can't break above the linchpin dot. Okay, so the dot that shows up after that little wiggle in an impulse move, especially with a lot of volume, I'm going to call it linchpin dot. And if we can't get the yellow line here on a bullish bar above that dot, see here, it didn't make it, look. See that yellow dot on the bullish bar did not make it. And plus that bar is pink. And pink bars usually don't have a whole lot of volume. So you can pretty much ignore them when it comes to interpreting whether or not something is broken or not. Pink bars kind of don't count most of the time. So in this case, I want that yellow line to get above it on a bar like this, a white bar. And it definitely does not. And so this is still bearish. So I expect this to break down. Now what should happen is we should get a bigger volume wave and more movement, a larger volume wave. Look what we get. Tiny little wave. And we just barely break the low. Right? Is that bearish? It's not. That is a failure to extend lower. And then if you look at where that yellow dot is. So see how this is right at the top of the wave? See how they put another one in? They're trying to do this. Right? They're trying to make that little, whatever that's called, that backwards N move or the S curve. That's what they're trying to do. Well, look what happened. They got volume, the VPOC on the Renko bar, got above that line. Now that's not an immediate buy for me. It's not like buy everything, go all in or anything like that. What that means is now I should start looking for the reversals. Only now should I be looking for things like stars to go higher, or purple bar, green bar, pink bar, any of those 2 and 3 bar combos, divergent bar, star, triangle up, anything like that I already knew about that work with momentum will start to work now. But I can't just buy it because what they usually do is they suck up this liquidity and then they V it. That's very normal. So once I see this purple bar star, and it's also a trap back in, so it made an apex, it went lower, it came back and printed a bullish bar within the range of this pivot, right? That's where those will begin to work to the long side. And the only reason I know to look there, because this is also a trap back in, right? And that one definitely fails. But the linchpin dot here on the way down did not get any volume above it. Whereas here, the linchpin dot did get volume above it right there, right? It got volume above it on a bullish bar that's not pink. So in other words, buyers are participating and sellers are not having any success at pushing the market very far, right? And there's really not a lot of volume getting accumulated. And then if you look at the volume zone oscillator, you can just see this with divergence. See how it's like volume zone oscillator is making higher lows, but price is making lower highs. Even if you don't have the algo, you can see that, right? That's why the divergence is there. Is because buyers are actually participating here for the first time and actually pushing it over the point where sellers were trying to add to aggression. Because remember, these little S curves, this is like a whole nother press, right? They are stuffing this green bar, and like anybody who bought there gets trapped, right? So, and then what you see is the yellow dot and then decrease, and then when they come back up to it, they are all sellers, right? Well, here they tried to there was nothing to stuff. They went straight down and there was nothing to stuff. And maybe this little wick or something, but there was nobody here to get trapped. And so when they come back up, buyers basically just like waited and then attacked at the right spot. But the hard part for me is remembering that that's not a reason to buy. It's a reason to look for buy setups. So there's no reason to take this stop, in my opinion. I don't need to buy that triangle. I can wait for the next triangle up, the trap, the star, whatever, and this becomes the really, really good entry. And then what's great is additional setups will continue to work as long as this low holds. So if this low holds, stars, X's, all of my bullish signals, triangles up, those are all going to work as long as they're proper. Well, not all of them, but many of them are going to work as long as they're properly positioned. I don't want to be getting long here, right? But if it sets up down here by the dotted line, that's all good. Like that's a buy, right? Are they all going to work? No, but many of them will. That's a buy. Well, okay. I got to explain the diamonds because the diamonds are different than Simon doesn't have those. I'll show you how that works. But it's actually a buy on the triangle up in this case. But yeah, that's that. So that was my good trade. That got me back. I took the unnecessarily aggressive stop and then made it back. But then where I got confused today was triangle up after star on the bigger time frame usually means we can, same kind of thing. We can start buying dips. We can start looking for pullbacks to buy, right? And so I took, was it this one? I think I took this star, thinking that looks like a pullback. That's a bullish, usually a bullish entry. So there's no reason why that shouldn't work. And it missed my target by about 2 ticks. And I probably should have just exited because the price action, like buyers just pulled their orders. If you were watching the order book, I knew that it was gonna stop out, honestly. But I'm really trying to work on being more disciplined with holding my positions because I just suck at that. So today I did really good at holding my positions all the way to the stop of the target. And for this one, it worked out beautifully. And for this one, it just meant I took a full stop where I sort of knew I didn't really need to. And so I took a full stop there, stopping me out right underneath that, only to see it go again. And I didn't take this, but I should have. Because this was clearly, that's a trap back in. That's like, this is the strongest trade that we have. And I know it's bullish because the higher time frame already printed the star triangle up at the bottom of the channel. There is no reason to ignore this, but I didn't take it. The only reason I didn't take it is because I literally just got stopped out. And so, like, when this triggered, I just wasn't ready because I had already kind of fired away at this one. And so I didn't have my DOM loaded. I didn't have anything ready. And so I'm like, fine, I'll buy if it pulls back. And then I chickened out because I saw it pull back that heavy. And I'm like, nope, I can't. I was afraid I would tilt if I took another stop. Even though this is actually a tiny stop, I had the opportunity to take it right there on the way back up. And I just pussied out, to be completely honest. I just was like, I don't trust this trade yet, right? It's a brand new setup with using the higher time frame, and I'm like, this is bearish. I don't like this, right? And so, yeah. So I just didn't take it, and I should have. Then we got the star here, and I was like, okay, it's a star. I can take it, and I got paid 10 points, and like shunned myself because it was not the best entry, right? It worked, but I shouldn't be. It's a chase. It's a bit of a chase, right? So I took 10 points, and I'm like, wow, that was dirty. Like, I don't want to play this game anymore because I felt like I got away with one, you know. And then I started getting a little bit aggressive, and I took this one, and that one stopped out. I didn't wait for the triangle like I was supposed to, and then I took this one, and that I got stopped out as well. And so I'm like, well, shit. Right? Because in my mind, I thought I was doing everything right, but the truth was I should have taken one stop here. The way this should have gone, it was a difficult sequence, but the way it should have gone, I shouldn't have messed with this. Let's see. Okay, I really didn't have to take this trade. There was no clear reason to take the trade. It was not at an apex. The apex had already formed over here. It makes sense that I should wait for a trap back in here. That's my better trade. This right here was excellent, and I didn't take it. Right? Well, I did, but I took it late. But this could have made me 40 points, so I should have been up like 120 points or something. And then this did not get a triangle, and it was not a trap. So there was really no reason. I took it because it was double divergence. It had the background, and it had the dot. That's usually pretty good, but it needs to be at a location. And in this case, the location would have been down here. So it was just kind of in the middle. Like if you look at the bigger time frame, it was just in the middle of this. And they just effed me, right? They just took it out and then came right back in again. And I was frustrated and took this trade again. This one is valid, in my opinion. That is a valid trade to target up here. And it just didn't quite make it 10. But this one too missed my target. This might have been the one that missed my target by 2 points. I got it at the triangle. Let me see. Okay, so this one was like 53. Yeah, and it went to 58. So it just missed it. It just didn't make it, right? And I was trading into resistance, but I did get above the dotted line. I waited for the triangle because I wanted to get above the dotted line. Now, a way that I probably could have avoided this stop. But again, I think it's okay. It's a fine trade, and not all of them are going to work. But one thing I can do that I've known how to do is I can take a look at where all the volume is and determine whether or not we are trading with or against that volume. So the easiest way to do that is with the draw volume profile tool, what we call the DVP tool. So if I draw the way up, and while this yellow line is rising, what I'm going to find is that most of the volume on this move up occurred on this bar. The other hint is it's usually a dot, but this one had 2 dots, so you wouldn't, unless you drew it, you wouldn't know for sure. Now my dotted line here is like a time-based amalgamation. It's an estimate of where each of those rotational pivots are, but if you draw it, you can see exactly where it is. And here, if I make this just a little bit more visible, like the pink line is really all you need, but if you know how to look at volume profiles, I can show you why this works. So if I make this visible and then erase the lines, but not that, what you're going to see is that there was a low volume node there. And if this was a daily chart, if these were all daily candles, I would think that that's the place I want to be shorting when we come back to it, right? Hopefully, if anyone's in here knowing how to trade volume profile, you'd look at that and you'd say, wow, we've got this VPOC down here and this big spike of volume, which occurred right here, right? And then just a low volume node just hanging out there, a big anomaly, waiting to get sold, right? And then here's the VPOC, and the basic concept of profile trading or using the profile is it might have been bullish here, but once we got under where all this volume was up here, so like from this pink line, here I'll draw it with a different color. This is where all the volume is. I'm trying to do my best to get that taper. So see how there's yet another tiny little anomaly, this little low volume node there? So between the anomalies is the purple, right? The VPOC and these high volume areas. That's where most of the traders are, okay? That's where most of them have already participated. That needs to be my target, not because that's going to be your target, or where you're entering if you have a target to go with the trend, right? So it would have been okay if we would have gone higher and I came back and I entered there, right? That'd be fine. If this would have been bullish right off of that level, that'd be fine, or break over it and come back, and hit it. But what happened here is we were bullish, we trapped buyers, and we got under that volume build. So until we get over it, it's not bullish. Even though the higher time frame is bullish, this time frame is not bullish. And that's a little bit confusing, but it basically means I need to wait for a bigger time frame pullback. I need something like a trap back in trade. I need something where the sellers get trapped is what I basically need. I can't trade breakouts and following aggression in like a star triangle up or a green bar triangle up won't work here because we're trading right into a bunch of trapped buyers. And what do you know, exactly at that low volume node is where we run into trouble here. So that's how I could have avoided that personally. And instead, what I could have done is waited for the trap back in. So once I have an apex, if I can trade under that apex, right, and then come back in and close bullish, that potentially traps shorts. And you can see if you didn't take this one, you got a star down. And so a triangle up after that star down is just perfect. So that is a way better long because the star is an aggressive seller, right? And we had it over here too. So it was here too, right? And that's why I thought it's a valid trade. There's a chance that you trap him, but you need to get that yellow line above his high. So if this is his high, the trapped seller, and it needs to be on a bar that's not pink. Look where the yellow line went. It was underneath that bar on the entry, and then when it did get above it, it turned pink, which basically means it just doesn't have a whole lot of, like, sellers pulled their orders, but like they didn't really need to work very hard to push the market up there. And not surprisingly, sellers show up and they just turn it because there wasn't really any participation in that bar. Well, the next time they push, they've got another seller and his high is way down here. And look where the triangle got the yellow line above that white line. I know it's nuanced, but those little things matter. Those little things pay you a lot of money. So if you have your eye on those tiny little details, and you don't have to worry, because I'm sorry, but there's no way I'm ever seeing that here. There's no way I'm ever going to notice that. Nope. There's no way. I'd love to learn how, but it would be, there's no way I could execute it in real time. Let's put it that way. I could see it after the fact, but there's no way I could know in real time that it was like a good spot to long. And honestly, I don't mind taking that stop as long as I'm ready to take it when it sets up right. But I think the better way to do it is to take the trade, note where the VPOC is, the yellow line, and if it's not over the trap trader, just exit here and take like a scratch basically. And then when you trigger in and the VPOC is in the right place, now you hold it. Okay, and then that would have been great. But like I said, I just messed that up at all sorts of levels and didn't take the trade that I should have taken, and did take the stop. So if you do it right, it works fine. And then, not surprisingly, the higher time frame does lift, and it lifts right into here. If we do the same exact thing here, like where's all the volume? What you're gonna find is, oh, I did it on the wrong side. Hold on. I'm pretty sure I got to do it on the way up. It's the trap buyers we're looking for. Okay, so I guess I'm wrong. That's not what we ran into. What did we run into then? Is it? Oh, did I include too many? Ah, there we go. I included too many bars. So the high volume node ends right here. See that? And it goes down to, it's kind of hard to see. On purpose. I kind of like it to blend in. It's on a huge, big screen TV, so I can see it, but I'm sure if someone's looking at a phone, there's no way you can see that. So I'll make it bright. And you'll see, see that little volume, high volume area, and then the low volume node? Here, I'll mark out, the low volume node's what's going to be the resistance. See that? That's what we ran into. So that, you already knew that was there. Like, that was, you could find that this morning before the open. You already knew that was there. And so when it came up and it tapped that area, like straight up, and there was a voodoo range level there too, which is nice. And then it rejects, and then you get, now once you get the triangle down on the higher time frame right here, now that didn't happen until all the way over here, and I messed this up badly. But once you get the triangle down on the higher time frame, you need to chill with the pullback buying, right? And I made the mistake. See, that doesn't actually happen until 066. So look, that you don't know for sure that it's like probably bearish on the higher time frame until 066. We'll put it right there. Okay, so this whole area here, until you get that right there, that is the most dangerous area to for this strategy. That's the most likely spot to get a stop. Is if you didn't know where to put your target, like in this case, I did our target, so like it was okay, right? But sometimes it's not going to hit your target on the first try, right? It goes up there and then it stalls and it needs a pullback and then it goes back again. That's not that unusual. You don't always get straight up. Sometimes you get this and then a higher high, right? Everyone has seen that. So the hardest part is if you don't know where your target is, all you really have is maybe the higher time frame channel, or the lower time frame levels, or like a voodoo range or something else, some other, like I've got a low volume node here on the daily profile, but we didn't actually reach that this time. So it would have made sense to buy this star, and in this case it worked just fine as a scalp, and that's fine. I didn't do it, but it would have worked. But I think I need to do some studying on whether or not this first pullback into the bottom of the channel on this tiny time frame, I need to know whether or not that is a reliable scalp. I think it is, but I'm curious if the trap back in that might occur right here, if this was bullish, I'm wondering if that's worth taking or if I should ignore it. Because I wouldn't be surprised if you get a lot of resistance at this low. See that? So these I should probably ignore. Because at this point, we've already made the triangle down. See that? Whoops. We've made the triangle down, right? Oh, no, I'm sorry. We've made the triangle down at 49. So yeah. You don't know until here. So the first one worked. The second, if you just blindly bought any bullish signal, did you get 10? You'd probably wait for the triangle, and then I'd probably wait for the triangle and then say no, 75, no. And then, so that one didn't quite give you 10 because let me just get rid of this. Primarily because it ran in to this. And where I got confused and took another loss was I saw pink bar, that alone is pretty strong, and then a white bar after that, which is almost always like 70% of the time that's bullish. Sometimes you need to trap back in underneath that low, but usually if this isn't the low, the next low will be. But it's a tiny time frame, and that may only be true when the higher time frame is also setting up bullish. And so I didn't even think about it, and bought that without even like just mechanically because it works so often. And so I bought here on the pink and then saw the white and decided I could hold is the way I usually do it. If I see an aggressive bar followed by a triangle and they're both pink, I'll just buy this. And then if the next bar is bearish, I'll usually let it go. But if the next bar is bullish, I'll hold it with a stop down here. And yeah, and this one just didn't work. But they usually do. And so I didn't do anything wrong there, in my opinion, other than perhaps not waiting long enough to decide whether or not I could buy or not. Because, like I said, by the time this stopped out, the higher time frame had printed the triangle down, and so right here, well, I guess not till here, but there were no more buy signals, really, unless you bought this one, which I guess paid, maybe. Oh, it's very close. Let me see. Did that one pay? 75.50. Oh, it missed by a point. That sucks. That happens. And like I said, all it happened, we just ran into this. So you just need to know where your support resistance is. So look. That just became resistance. And that's rough. But it's where the volume is, right? There. See that? They just took it back. So that's gonna happen, right? And then sometimes the way I look at it, if I did the system right, I get this lift, I get this, where's the other one? This lift. I potentially get this scalp. Oh, there was one stop in there, right? So stop for like 10 points. And then what's that, like 60 points? And then 20 or 10, let's say. So you're above 100 even with losing 20. And then you lose another 10, right? Like you're still up like 10 times what you lost if you do it right. Which like I said, I didn't, because I missed the biggest one and took extra ones that I shouldn't have. So once it shows that triangle right here, we know now that it's not going to be, you can't be looking for buys anymore until you see this turnaround again. And so what's interesting now is if you look at the triangle up, they're gonna start failing again. So the pink triangle up is, if it's bullish, that's consistently good. And ring triangle up, also consistently good. Well, the higher time frame is bearish and that fails. Right? Now this one worked, but that was just kind of, there's another reason for that, I'll show you. You got a little dip here. I don't think that's awful. If you decided, hey, I like this location, trap back in, I'll take it, I think that's fine. But my understanding is once we see this triangle down, we have to be extra cautious with like taking long trades, and it's better to wait for the setup up here. But anyway, the triangle up here actually worked. That one might be valid as well, because I'm not totally sure how long that pullback rule works. But if you look here, the triangle down was at 49, right? Down here. This is where the triangle on the higher time frame confirmed. And what we did is we trapped it. See that? We've gotten back above it and printed a star. at the bottom of the channel. That might be fine, even though we had a triangle down. I don't know. I haven't. It's something to look at, right? Because now it starts to work again, and I was just frustrated that I like decided that I couldn't trade long anymore, and just like missed all of this. So, and then it was the end of the day, more or less, and I was like, well, I'll just be done and not blow up. I'll just take a small loss and be okay with it. But it is frustrating. So then here we got outside of the channel. And now for sure, if it puts a triangle down, we don't want to be long. So look, if I get triangle, so all of this is going to be tricky to trade in general. If you look here, because we've gotten to the top of this channel now and reverse. So that, that occurred by 82.75. So technically you don't know for sure throughout all this, but this choppiness sucks, right? Ring, triangle up, maybe 10 points. Green bar, triangle up, definitely would have stopped. So if you try to trade up here on the higher time frame, you can't take reversal trades long on the top of the channel on the higher time frame. Those trades need to be done down here. Because that ring triangle up works really well as a reversal, right? The green bars the POC above followed by pink bar, triangle up works really good as a reversal. It's not great as a momentum signal. It's okay, but it's not great. Even the stars by themselves, not good enough. See that? Star by itself fails. Star by itself fails. Right? Star divergent bar fails. Those are all momentum trades. And so that stops working. And then what do you know? You get the triangle down, and it's like, oh, we're bearish in the higher time frame, right? Which was my thinking. But I have to start being aware of that way up here. If we get over that, because I'll show you when it's not turning, look what happens on the higher time frame. When it is turning, it hits or gets close to that thing, and it turns and gives you triangle down and goes lower, right? When it's not going to do that, let me find a bullish spot. Here, this again, gets over the channel, tries, reverses, gets lower. By the time it's triangle down, it's done. Here too, triangle down, it's over, right? Here too, hits the channel, turns around. If it's triangle down, it's going lower. Okay, let me show you what happens when it doesn't do that. That's usually the case. When it doesn't do that, here's one. When it doesn't do that, here's what happens. Okay, here's one that does, right? Top of the channel, red bar, triangle down, it's going lower, boom, lower low. Comes up, right? Gets over the channel, orange bar, can't give you triangle down. See that? No triangle down. Can't give you triangle down. You're getting apex above it, no triangle down following it. Just more and more buyers aggressively piling in. See that? Every red bar not follow, or even a bullet bearish bar, not followed by a triangle at the top of the channel. What's going to happen? It's going to go exponential. And what's cool, what I found, is before that, over here, like that's a very high time frame, right? You're not going to know for sure. Like if you were here where it turns red, like right here, let's say, at 13.052, right? If you're here and you're like, hey, higher time frame is not confirmed bearish yet, you can't just buy the next signal. I can't just buy this because I'm at the top of the channel still, right? It doesn't mean it's bearish, but this is not going to work like 70% of the time. I need to confirm that it's not going to be a triangle that follows. So I should be cautious here. And then when this doesn't close bearish, like we have a range predictor that shows us where it would close bearish, and it's somewhere underneath like 80, let's say. So if we start turning before that, and I break a linchpin dot, this is why I talked about that earlier, this is where that comes in. If I break a linchpin dot now, after that, right, because again, this is the high, it pulls back, here's a linchpin dot, can't break it. Here's a linchpin dot. And so I'm not buying this, right? Here's a linchpin dot. I can't buy this yet, in my opinion. We can't break the linchpin dot. I wait. VPOC has to get above it on a non-pink bar. Still can't break above it. Those are pink bars. Doesn't count. Linchpin dot. Okay, linchpin dot. See how it like goes up and then turns? Okay, so I'm not buying this. Triangle up because it's not gotten above it, right? Now we've gotten VPOC above it. Now I can start buying trap back in, star triangle up, green triangle up, all that stuff. This can be bought. Divergent bar, triangle up, can be bought. Boom. Paid for, right? Zero stops. Like, I just need to be patient. That's really all there is to it. And that way, I'm not going to be buying when we're up here. But instead, I end up buying closer to the midpoint of this channel on the higher time frame. And like I said, where I got confused was I saw the pullback, and I was so anxious to get in that I was buying things like this. Not that one. This one happened during earnings, or during, what's it called? Jolts, I think it was. Whatever came out this morning. But yeah, that's a good example of that. So here's another one. Look, we get up to the top of the channel, right? And we know where this would, when it goes bearish, it closes bearish at 13.024, okay? As soon as it gets to 13.024 on this bar, I know on this, I can see here, it'll turn red. There'll be a red number with where the next bar will close. And if it closes, that'll be a triangle down. And if that triangle down comes, I can't even consider looking for longs. So now the only way to get long is before that level gets touched, I need to first break a linchpin dot and then get a setup, right? So in other words, I can't buy this because we're not above, that one might count. We got above it right here. That one might actually count. Does that work? I didn't even think about this one, but that's not an apex, so that counts. Yeah, I didn't get it start. I didn't get triangle up anyway. I'm not sure if that counts. It's still near the high. This one definitely counts if we get above that. So I wouldn't buy this. There's one. See how it goes up and then back down? That's basically it. Okay, pink bar, white bar there. Now we've gotten above the linchpin dot. So I miss this trade and this entry I miss. And that you know, that might be it. Now note we also got a star down and we got above them with VPOC. See that? So technically, if I want to chase, that's where to do it, or any pullback. So that is probably buyable just as a pullback, and that's definitely an entry. And that works. So that's how I need to get long at the top of the channel. And then if I'm looking for the reversal, you can't be shorting just because it's like a red line, a red bar here. I need to be waiting for I need to make sure that we have not overcome that linchpin dot, basically. So here's how the short would work. Let me show you. If you wanted to short this is how it would look. It's exactly the opposite. You'd say, okay, I got a star down, and it works on the downside. I got a star down, right? So that occurs on this down. So this down, the only way you could do it, find a linchpin dot, break below it, which happens here, and now I'd need a pullback and a bear entry. This one, right? And then so that would potentially be a short. And then I get the star confirmed. So I know if I get continuation, then a pullback back up here, I can aggressively short as soon as we've beaten a linchpin dot or gotten like a trap back in or something like that. Like that's where I'd be starting to look short. But you can see that we didn't reach that triangle down. So now I'm not shorting pullbacks. Because look, if you short this, you're in trouble, or even triangles down. Look, this triangle down, that one might work, but the rest of them probably won't. Okay, that one works, the first one, because we haven't actually gotten down here yet. So I saw it here, but this is 82, and we're not there yet. So this one's still okay, right? This one's still okay. I was confused because I saw this, but we're actually down here. So you wouldn't know that it wasn't going to be a triangle yet. So this is still a short, in my opinion, because we have not gotten above a yellow dot with anything but pink. So the direct, and then we're at the top of the channel with the star. So direction is still, for momentum trading, direction is still short. And so triangles down can give you shorts. But once we've gotten close to reaching where that triangle down would be, and we get a bounce, now I'm looking for linchpin dots being broken here like this. And now I'm not taking triangles down short. So I'm not shorting this. I'm buying this. I'm not shorting this. I'm buying this. I'm not shorting this. I'm buying this. Right? So it's kind of obvious. It seems pretty simple, but I'm telling you, in practice, it is tricky. But really, and then the hard part is it seems kind of obvious what to do when you're sitting right against the edge here, right? And then same exact thing, but in reverse when you're sitting on the bottom edge. So if we go back to where we were today, Thursday, Wednesday, Thursday 12. It was like in here. So if we were down here, see how we haven't quite reached the edge yet? Right? So we got the here. I'll do this one more time just so a little faster, just so this maybe I can integrate a little bit in my own brain. So we reach a point of like a target, and we near this, and we get a red bar. So that is confirmed at 66, right? So if we thought we were looking for longs here, and I think that's okay, we see the triangle down work, and we're like, oh, we got a red bar down. If I got a triangle down, it's probably bearish, should be my thought. And I should wait to long until I get back to the channel, basically. And so I get this one gets hit at like 66, I think I said. So that occurs here. And so now I know, okay, red bar, orange bar down with the diamond, it's probably bearish, right? I just can't get above linchpin dots. Well, they immediately get above a linchpin dot right there. So I don't want to short this because they've gotten above a linchpin dot. Now, it doesn't mean they actually get anywhere with it, but they did get above a linchpin dot, right? And then this one is technically a long, in my opinion, if you're playing it that way. If you say, hey, we had a dot that's not at an apex, it's not a great. This is the better linchpin dot or even this one, because what you really want is a big wick. This is not really much of a retracement, and there's a star above it, so it's not a perfect example. But I think if you took this, it's probably okay. But once you see that doesn't work, and that you're chopping in here and you're not extending, and I recognize that I'm not at the lower part of the channel. I shouldn't really be looking for a reversal here, because I've gotten the red outline, and I'm potentially working on a triangle. So until I reject before 49, I'd have to think that this was the low. And that might be a read I might make, and it does give me like 9 points or 10 points or something like that. But I think that one I can probably skip. And instead, I think the better trade is to take the purple triangle down here. And then once the triangle on this time frame is confirmed, which is 49, which is in here, now I know I need to find a linchpin dot and beat it. Otherwise, triangle down is going to work. So like this is probably a short. And then only here do I notice divergent wave down, start looking for linchpin dots getting broken. Linchpin dot broke, nope, with the pink bar. There. So this is where it's like, okay, stop shorting. Right there. Stop shorting. Right? Now, if you had identified somehow that this was an area you wanted to be taking longs at, you might be able to buy this. But I'm okay missing that one, personally. It didn't set up exactly how I wanted. I got the triangle down. I'm sure there's a way to get it with a trap back in, because we're that close. We're pretty close to the low here. So it might be fine to take this, especially after the divergence. And I guess we did get above the linchpin, didn't we? Maybe that makes it okay. I think that does. I think that means this trap back in is fine. Okay. Again, another missed opportunity. So so I need to start watching that once we approach the channel. And then triangle up, right? So do I want to be shorting? Probably not. I can probably skip the shorts once it gets to 82. So if I see this triangle up, and I'm nowhere near the, especially if I'm nowhere near the channel here on this time frame, it's probably just going to chop or go higher. So I can probably skip this one. Although, like I said, I did find a way to. If you know all the volumes up here, you know they got trapped, and so you could, if this would have been a triangle down, that would have, and even the star is an okay entry. But again, it doesn't go anywhere because you got triangle up here. You know? So it's like, why even go through the trouble? Why not just identify triangle up and then say, all I got to do is give me, whoops, that's going to take a minute, I guess, is give me that star up in the right location. So I got the triangle up here at 82. Oh, maybe not. Did it not reach it yet? Ah, it didn't reach it yet. That one's hard to take. That one's tough. You got star, triangle up, and you got triangle down, back into it. It never actually got a VPOC below the triangle, did it? Not even close. So that might make this okay. It probably makes this good. But I wonder if it makes this lunchtime one okay to take. Additionally, I know that when I have yellow bars, it's usually it's a sign of volume aggression. And if you can hold that low or the low of the blue dot behind it and get a star, and especially if it's star triangle up, that's pretty good. So that might be the kind of spot I want to look for, that is once I've gotten the triangle up and I'm trading above. So look, if I think the way to think about it, this is where all the volume is on the triangle up. So if I'm trading in there, it's probably okay to take things like pull back into the green, like even this purple bar star is probably okay. Where is that? 71. Ugh, it's really high. If I really want it down here, does it show up down there on the green? No. So that one fails. And yeah, I guess the reason why you don't take this is because all the volume was up here. And you didn't get a triangle above the volume. Here, you have to get a triangle above the volume. You could have waited to get above the dotted line, which happens here. Yeah. That's the conservative way. See that it's working, and then buy the pullback, basically. Or take the breakout here when you get over the... Once you get over it, you can chase it a little bit, most likely. That's not horrible, I don't think. But yeah, you don't want to be shorting now, right? Through this, because you got triangle up. That should be pretty clear. And then you reach the top of the channel, and so now you've got yellow. So if I got purple bar star here, it's, you know, you'd expect it to go higher, but I don't know how good of an idea it is to buy it. But yeah, like that green bar, it probably does work. Yeah, see that? Because we got to the back of the yellow and it signals bullish. So you usually do get at least one more. And we took out this green bar. We're probably going to take out this one. Oh, they trap him. I remember this. They trapped him with pink bar. It was pink, and I bought. Yep. And see, that double pink usually does work. And then I was going to show you on the 40 tick, which is somewhere in between the two. Here, let me get rid of all these. There's some early warnings on the 40 tick. So, where was that? Okay, so on the 40 tick, here, let me hide the drawings. Okay, on the 40 tick, let me just show you this from the beginning. So this one, like we said, was star triangle up at the bottom of the channel, and that's where it signaled that I knew that longs were going to work better than shorts, right? Like for sure. So here, a similar pattern is going to be triangle up with that's pink, getting above a triangle up that's pink with any bar that's not pink is going to be bullish. So the very lowest triangle up that's pink or star getting above him with VPOC. So see, this is the very lowest pink triangle, and you really want it to be down here. So if I can get above that with any bar that's not pink, so right here, okay, I know at that point, right there, that I can probably buy trap back in on the 15 tick. And most likely I'm going to get a star triangle up on the higher time frame, basically. Because that's pretty much almost the same thing. So a star triangle up here would also be good if it's at the bottom of the channel, but what you'll see is that the triangle up that's pink, that corresponds with the star. See that? Stars, triangle up that's pink, corresponds with the star. All you need to do really is just get the. It's a sign that buyers are trying to push, and so you just need to have some success. So even this one, if you look, so this one is like 13,044. Okay, so right here, for the first time, buyers are having some success. Right, we got a star over here too. It's not confirmed that we're going to head to the other side of the channel, but we can start looking for things like divergence. Right, so I'm probably not going to take this. A little bit too aggressive. But if I get divergence on a down bar, it's probably okay. Or if I get a trap back in, so here's the low. If I trap back into that low, since I've gotten a star on the higher time frame, it's probably okay to take this most of the time. It's not always going to give you 100 points, but it's probably the star is probably going to give you 10 most of the time. And then, like I said, the problem is that you can't just keep doing it, right? Because otherwise you're going to take a stop for sure. And instead, if you want to wait for the divergence, well, I guess, yeah, the divergence comes in here. So probably the more, what I said before makes more sense, is once you get the pink triangle up, you really do need divergence to confirm. But that could technically get you long here. And you'd have to take a stop before you got it right. So the smaller the time frame you use, and basically the more aggressive you are, the more stops you're going to take. If instead you wait to get above the star on the 67 tick or above the triangle up that's pink on the 40 tick, you're probably not going to have to worry about that. And like I said, the alternative to that is getting, or similar to that, is getting above a linchpin dot, which is this, I guess. So you get above that here. So now pullbacks that give stars and stuff like that can probably be bought. And that is how it's supposed to work. Right? So let's see if we can find one on the opposite side. So I want to be at the top of the channel, and I want to see purple triangle down like this, and then I need to get lower than that. So lower than 33, right? So here's 33, where the purple triangle down is. If I can get lower than that on that time frame, it's probably bearish. If I can't get under it, it might be bullish. See how that continues to hold? And it's not bearish, right? If we can't get VPOC below that, it's not bearish. And just like over here, you got it above on pink, and then you got it above on a white one. Now, at that point, it was probably too late to really take much of a trade. I guess you could take this one. Yeah, I took this too. It's this one. The trap back in. You need to actually have a setup. But you got it above, and then a pullback, it held. That was sneaky. I got frustrated by that. So let me see if I can find one on the other opposite side. So I need, here, purple bar on a triangle on the 40 tick. Right? So again, the higher time frame does not have a star this time. And it didn't even reach this. But I want to see if this might be similar. So we go, hold on real quick. Shit, I missed a text. Hold on. Okay, so I said this was bearish and it occurred here, 73. So we get below it. So now, can we get VPOC below it? Yes. It's probably bearish. Can we hold it on a pullback? No. So bullish. So I thought bearish here, right? Because we got below it, printing the triangle down and one more bar on the 40 tick. But then they got it back. So, but then they gave it, oh, they only got a purple bar below it with VPOC. See, this VPOC's above it. Purple bar, green bar, triangle up. That's probably long. Stop's got to be all the way down here, but that probably works. Oh, not much. Okay, so the reversal might not work. But there we got under, well, actually, we got under it here. I think with the 40 tick is probably better. So we got under it here. So the next triangle down, that's purple, right there, or star or whatever is probably good. Yep, and see that drops. Now we didn't get a star here, we did get the triangle down. Okay, and then pink, but no triangle up, so nothing to do here. Pink triangle up, so right here, it touched the bottom, pink triangle up. Okay, so if I can get VPOC above that, I'm going with the 40 tick and probably buy setups. It's got to be on a non-pink bar right there. So from here, pullbacks that set up long are probably good. Right? Needs a triangle up. There. Is that good? Yeah, that does work. That makes sense. That makes sense. So yeah, if using a smaller time frame, just have to microscope it a little bit. It's not going to be perfect. Now, what about if it's in the middle of the channel? Does this produce pullbacks that are buyable? Yeah, as long as you can hold it. Okay. Well, that's neat. Pretty sure it'd just be the triangles, but I could be wrong about that. Okay, there's another one. So purple triangle down. Okay, so once we turn it here, that's where it turns purple triangle down. Now, like I said, I don't think the reversal works very well, but I'm hoping it doesn't set up short because I'm pretty sure this goes higher. But you can see on the higher time frame, we didn't get red and we didn't get a star, so it's like it's not real strong anyway. But let's see if yeah, see, they just trap it. That's cool. They trap it and it just rips. So as soon as you get that purple triangle down and you think, okay, I just need to get VPOC below that and then retest and it can go lower, they can't even get VPOC below it and it rips. So it literally never gets VPOC below it on the 15 tick and they squeeze. Okay. Okay, star on the higher time frame, triangle down on the 40 tick, right? So if this happened on the higher time frame, it would be bearish. And that occurs right at that same level. See that? Right there is where it gives me star triangle down. So on the 40 tick now, it says pullbacks can be shorted, but on the higher time frame, I don't know for sure, right? So now note VPOC has not gotten below that level. So let's see if it doesn't once again. Do they hold it again? They hold it again. Okay, they get under it right there. So so they try to hold it, right? They even put a divergent bar in here. This was a tricky sequence too. Then they get below it. So now shorts should start to work. Triangles down. See, they definitely got VPOC below it. Does triangle down get us lower? Right there. Yep. Cool. That's pretty neat. So, I mean, it may be that you just need to kind of know what the higher time frame is doing and have a general idea, like here. So now we have triangle down here, right? So now here, if that one holds and gives pullbacks, we can probably short again. Okay, it got it below, got a pullback, ring, triangle down. That's not a momentum signal. Star triangle down is though. It kind of works, but look at the it didn't go lower. That looks weak to me. Okay, we get it above, and it squeezes. Yeah. So without the star here, just the triangle down, it does produce one trade. Oh, but on the smaller time frame, we got pink triangle up at 72. Ah. So when did that happen? here. We got it up above on a pink bar. We couldn't get VPOC above it. So at this point, it looks bearish. Okay, that's fine. I'm fine with that. And then if you can get VPOC above this on a non-pink bar. Okay, now pullbacks can be bought. Do they give it to us? Pullback. We need a star and a triangle up. Ooh, we gave it up. Now I'm pretty sure buys are not a good idea. But let's see, that's a trap back in at location. And that works. Star on the 40 tick. But you wouldn't know that. This one got a trap back in on the 40 tick. That's pretty strong. So now all of a sudden on the higher time frame, you're getting a reversal signal, but not a momentum signal. But you got star triangle up off of the channel. And I know if I see that on the 67, that's good enough to buy pullbacks. What about on the 40 tick? That's at 72. So that happens. Got to get there. That happens here. Can I buy pullbacks? Right there. Triangle up. Is that good? It's good. Oh, only to here. It's not as good. Yeah, it's not as good. Can I buy trap back in? Right there. Is that good? No. So the 40 tick traded the same way as replacing the 40 tick with the 67 tick does not seem to work. That's interesting. That will give you more false signals to use star triangle up on the 40 tick and expect pullbacks to get bought. But you can see on this one, it just needed another low. So only the micro, the triangle up is what works there. Could it be because in this case, when it gave star triangle up on the 40 tick, the 67 tick didn't agree? It was star only once you got to 82. Okay, up here, just star. So on the higher time frame, you would have had to hold the triangle up. You couldn't get below 59. Does it set up above that? No. So once it gives up 59, buys should be ignored. That's now resistance, I bet. Yes! Sweet. Sweet. Okay, that makes sense. That makes sense. And that star is not on the bottom of the channel, so a trap back in makes sense as well. On the higher time frame, on this one. Get a trap back in here, bring this lower, which occurs here, after hours. So now we get a pink bar on the 40, pink bar star on the 67. So if this produces a triangle up and I hold that triangle up, is it bullish? Right there. If I hold, so if I get above that, it's probably bullish, and I have to hold above this. Let's turn that red. So it's actually the top and the bottom, perhaps. So I have to get VPOC above that, first of all. Doesn't happen yet. It's pink, doesn't count. Doesn't happen yet. There. Okay, it's bullish as long as I hold the VPOC above that white one, but I want a pullback to buy. It's earnings, it might not happen. I got star triangle up, so pullback should be bought. Well, I didn't quite reach the channel, so I might need to wait for a trap back in. Let's see if this even holds. Okay, they reached the top of the channel, the 40 tick. Not surprisingly, they reversed back through here. So this is purple bar, green bar above the bottom of the triangle, right? Above the bottom of the 40 tick triangle, which makes it above the bottom of the, so this one, this triangle's bottom is here. It's way above that. And that works. And that makes sense. That's cool. That's cool. Got it above, pulled it back, next signal works. Got it above, pulled it back, the next signal should still work. Although we are getting a star up here. Ah. Will it not work? Will that work? Trap back in. It fails. Because we had a star and a triangle down on the 40 tick. Look at that. Okay. Fascinating. So once you get the star here, which happened at 72. So right here, we have a star on the 40 tick. And so, and it's interacting with the channel. So at this point, while this one worked, the next bull may not work. And I still need to hold all these. Right? And to get it to reverse, I would need to get it basically above this. 83. This one. It needs to get above this. Oh, I see what I did. And it can't get below that. That's the easy. It can't get below it. So once VPOC gets below that, it's below the star on the 40 tick. So I don't want the pullback now. So skip it. Because 83 is going to be resistance. Yeah. Yep. Neat. Okay, and then star, or triangle down. So hold on, let me, too many lines. So 40 tick now, triangle down. This was triangle up. This is now, this was star triangle up. This is now star triangle down. So this is a good example of that like conflict I was talking about earlier. Like, what do you do about this? So, here, let me change the colors. So smaller time frame. We're going to make purple and blue. Higher time frame will make white and red. Okay, so on the higher time frame we were bullish, expecting a pullback to buy. On the smaller time, for 40 tick, we have just triggered bearish, expecting a pullback to sell. What happens? This one we already know probably fails because the 40 tick bear trade confirmed here. And so that triangle down should be a short on the smaller time frame, but the higher time frame is looking for a buy. So does that not work? It does work. Does this also go higher? I mean, sorta. Ah, the trap back in. Does this work? Yeah. Okay, so the smaller time frame one happens first. As soon as the smaller time frame trade confirms, which is right when it crosses this purple line with the VPOC. So you know it's a star right here. You know it's going to be a star. And already it's like, yeah, I don't really want to be buying against a star on the higher time frame. And then this one, though, you had star triangle up, so you're thinking, well, if it can pull back far enough, I might be able to buy it. But usually you want it to hold 49, which is the red line right here. So this needs to hold, otherwise I'm not bullish on the higher time frame. But if this one, since we got below the blue, it's probably bearish on the 40 tick. So we want to skip this one because we don't have enough expectancy to resistance. And then that is probably a short down into wherever they turn it, which needs to be below the red. Otherwise, it just stays short. They get it below the red, but only with price, and that's where you cover, and then that is a long. Oh, interesting. They got it below the red. So I mean, this long makes perfect sense. It didn't have a star, but I would definitely get on my short there. I'm kind of surprised it doesn't continue right away. It traps back in, getting volume below the triangle, and producing a star on the higher time frame. But that star's in the middle. That's right. The stars in the middle of the channel are not that significant. I had forgotten about that. See, this star is much more significant than this one. So we're not going to worry so much about this. Is that right? That is the bottom of the star. Yeah, even though it produces a star, they lift and it just becomes support. Wow. And it gets a little choppy because they don't agree. Star, triangle up, pull back. So we knew to look for that there. We wanted to get it above the red. This one didn't have a star. Probably could just skip it. This star was below the red, but it still worked. This star is above the red. That's the better one. This, when it reclaims the red, is probably the one to go with. Yeah. Interesting. Star, triangle up. So this turns bullish as well at 72. So if you miss this and you see that, it's like, okay, well, we got star, triangle up. We just have to either push higher than this and then hold the blue. Where's blue? Oh, is it right on the red? It's in the same exact spot. Okay. Yeah, it's in the same spot. Okay, so it pulls back. It holds 50. And it's good. And that's probably fine. Yeah, I was going to say, that does not have very good expectancy because it doesn't have room to resistance. So even though that's usually good. See, that's the stuff that I'm getting messed with. That's what's messing with me is things like this look like a momentum trade, but that's not what I'm trying to do here. Even though the 40 tick looks bullish, we have not, well, okay, star, triangle up. It's not a pink triangle. We get VPOC above. It pulls back. Pink, pink, white. That's usually bullish. A trap back in here. It should be an easy buy. And it fails. Now, it is after hours. But I'm just trying to understand what I'm missing. The only thing I can see is that it did not quite touch the channel. And perhaps we need to wait longer. Does that work? Yes. So this one. So yeah, it's not like every single one works. That's what's tricky. Like this star, those all worked. The one up here didn't, and this didn't produce a triangle. So the green bars by themselves are just not good enough. It might really be down to that. Even though the location's right. And then even though we got underneath it, the star ends up working anyway. Which might have just been luck from, because this is when the earnings came out. So that might have been not the perfect example, because here, star, triangle down, not at the top of the channel, but it's poorly positioned, but you'd think if you can keep it below 76, it should be bearish. They get it above 76. So now, pullbacks can probably be bought. Oh, that's where we are now. Cool. So I'm guessing at this point, I'm assuming that pullbacks can be bought. Okay, I want to show you one more thing, but I need a quick break to go fill up my drink and use the restroom. So I want to show you one more cool thing about a setup that I've been working on that involves trading around volume. So give me 2 minutes. I will be right back. All right. So let's see. I'm curious about this pullback and how to determine. Like I said, it set up pretty clearly here. It did not touch the channel, but it got close, and then we got pink, which by itself is pretty good. And you can see it lifts, and then what I would expect is normally if you can get VPOC above that. Actually, you knew it on the 40 tick. You had a pink bar on the triangle here. So really, if you got above 62 right here with VPOC, right there, already we could start thinking bullish, especially since by that point we've already gotten the star here and it's pink and it's got divergence. So it's hard. I don't think it's a great idea just to buy it. But if you look back and you think about the other things we talked about today, it's just something I was looking at while I was on the break, is we had a linchpin dot, right? No apex. And if you look to the right, we got above it right here. This is a pullback, triangle up, right? So that setup might work really well, even just from getting one star, or getting over a triangle on a 40 tick, which is, if it's going to be pink, it's probably the same. It'll probably be a star over here most of the time. So yeah, and then that'll continue until we get to resistance, and it could get a pullback. But like I said, where I'm getting stuck is thinking we got below a blue, we got a red, we got triangle down, we got all these red bars. It looks really weak, and then I don't want to buy this, and then it lifts right into the channel. Like I'm missing those, and then I'm taking the ones. It seems like I'm taking the ones that don't work, and missing the ones that do. Like this one comes right into the midpoint. The location's pretty good. It's right back to this little consolidation. It makes sense. And then this one's got trap back in. I don't think that's wrong to take either, although I think that fails. But I think I like this one better. Let's just see. Where was all the volume here? Way at the top. See, so that's a problem. All the volume was up here. Oh, yeah. And they got lower. So let me show you the volume trick. I'm going to show you. This is pretty neat. Because I've been watching this, and this works a ton. Before, so this is what I was working with and just figuring out. I took some stops doing it, but I think I've worked it out pretty much. I don't want to do it here because it's. Let me find a spot where it's not. Like after hours or what's it called? Your earnings or anything like that. So here we'll go back to Friday. Do I still have my Friday at 8:30? I just randomly, right? I think I've got my signals that I need. So what I'm looking for are these diamonds that come outside of the bars. Sometimes they're hard to see because they're behind other things, but they're purple or pink. And then there's another way to do this with the diamonds inside the bar, but the calculation's just a little bit different. So I'm going to do one at a time. So the diamonds on the outside of the bar indicate that they have that bar has a lot of volume. The basic concept is if I mark where the volume point of control is, that yellow bar, that yellow line, if I mark that like with a white line, what it's basically saying is if I get behind it, right? So this is the big volume going down. If it's bullish and I push behind it, if it's already been bullish, we're probably going higher. But if it's bearish or neutral and we go behind it, the only way we can go lower usually is find the bar that got the VPOC above it, even if it's pink. So like this one in this case has the VPOC above it. And then what you need is you need to be bearish, you need to get under that bar, or at least under that VPOC of that bar. But if it's pink, it's probably the bar is probably better. And you need to do it with a triangle. So this triangle down didn't reach the bar that got the VPOC above the big volume bar. So you really wouldn't have confirmation this way that it's a short here. But by the time you got this one, you would know that it's a short. Because you had a lot of volume that came in over here, you got above it, and then the bar that got all the volume above the big volume bar got beat. And it got beat by a triangle in the opposite direction. If you want to add nuance to this, look at the dotted line and make sure that the yellow line is on the correct side of the dotted line. Or you can just draw wherever the volume profile is and make sure you've already overcome the drawn volume profile. So for instance, if I look at the wave that I'm fighting and the wave that I'm in off the top and I'm looking to get short, all the volume is up here. So I need to get below that. So if you just did that draw, you could actually short this. But if you were using the shortcut, which is the automated version, which is the dotted line, which is not exactly right, but it's a good estimation, it gets you here. So there's, like I said, that's two different ways, kind of quickly, of how to do the same thing. I'm figuring out where all the volume is, and then I'm trapping the volume or reclaiming it. In other words, all the volume was on the sell side. Buyers tried to break over it. They did, and then they got trapped again, and they gave back. The one who beat this volume got taken back. Whoops, pants. Turn that off. Sorry, oh, it's loud. Okay, so let me find the next one. And like I said, there's another trade that could have gotten you short at the high or near the high on this one, but I'm not gonna. I'll get there in a minute. I want to do this one at a time, so I've got it clear. Okay. Diamond, right? I need to get behind that VPOC of this line with the triangle, and I got to get the VPOC behind it. It technically happens right here. If you look, the VPOC on that triangle bar is just slightly lower than the white line. Here, let me move it. Very close, but it's technically the yellow line and the dash where it interacts with the bar is below the, I think. Well, it might be equal. So in this case, it'd be, you'd be thinking bearish. Whoops, I moved it. You'd be thinking bearish once you got VPOC below it. And then what you would need to do to be bullish is to beat this bar with a triangle up. And so which way, if you want to wait for the triangle up to get long, or if you want to just short a pullback or whatever, that's going to depend on things like the higher time frame. Like here we have star at the channel top, and then it's followed by triangle up. And so like by that point, you know for sure. But by 54. I guess you just knew you were at the top of the channel here because you didn't know about the star till here. And so now we're thinking, okay, well, it's probably going lower. We just need a pullback, right? Okay, here is a big volume. Now, before we were watching volume bars that got immediately beat, this volume bar produces a triangle up. If we're at location, like at a previous low, this often is the way that we get a reversal. We get a bunch of volume coming in at the lows, trapping shorts, and then we go higher. So if there's evidence, like a star on the higher time frame or something like that you want to be, if there's a reason why you want to be long here, you can just take the trade. And if it traps below that and then does triangle up, it's going to be a long as well. So, okay, now we got a new one, right? And no, we could not get the VPOC below the VPOC of the bar VPOC of this big volume bar. So we'll just move this over here. We once again get triangle up following a pink bar. As long as it's bullish, it's probably going higher. Not always though, but as long as it's bullish, it'll just go higher. Now, if it gets beat by VPOC, see, they test, this is very normal. They test the VPOC and they bounce. So this VPOC acts as a magnet. So I shouldn't say, you don't necessarily want to get long just because you see the triangle up that's following it. You want to be bullish. where you get long is you need an actual setup. So here you had a trap back in setup, and here you had a trap back in or a double bottom setup to get long, and you would have known you're looking long because you can't get behind the high volume bar, the VPOC, the high volume bar. You can't get the bar VPOC of the current bearish bar behind the bar VPOC of the very high volume bar. In addition, we've gotten VPOC above some of these dots, which is usually a sign they're trying to push it higher. And so this one might not have worked right away, but this one does. If you think it's bullish, that triangle up, especially when it's small and pink like this, and it comes after a pink diamond, or it doesn't have to be immediately after it, but like range-wise, it needs to be right above it. Here, I'll show you. So here's the top of this. So any yellow, pink triangle, pink bar that's got a triangle that's right above it is going to work really often. And then this one's got a lot of volume. So any pink bar with a triangle that's sitting right on top of that is going to work a lot. It doesn't have to be the first one. It can chug around for a while, but if it's in that same location, and because remember, the pink triangle up is basically, and especially when it's small, it's saying that like sellers are like racing to get out of there for some reason. And that high volume bar should be acting as a magnet, and they're repelling it. Well, that's meaningful because that's not normal. Okay, I'm looking for them in both ways. I just haven't seen any bearish ones yet. And like I said, the diamonds in the bar I'll get to those because those are interpreted slightly differently. Okay, here's one right here. The VPOC's here. It immediately gets beat. This is the bar that beats it. It gets a VPOC behind the high volume bar VPOC, right? If we get above this with a triangle up, it's usually a long, unless it's trend day down. Okay, we do get a VPOC above it, right? So now longs should probably be working, but it looks like it might be trend day down. Oh no, it's okay. So yeah, so once we've gotten him beat, you can, obviously it's not bullish here, right? It should be pretty clear. If it's already bullish, you can just buy it. It's just, that's a little bit aggressive. In this case, we've gotten triangle down coming off of the top of that one, right? And we're below it. See that? That happened at 39, which is like way up here. And then this one had triangle down as well, and we're below it. That was at like 30. Right, so we're way below those. And so our guess should be we're going lower until we break a linchpin dot and then set up or whatever, right? But this would be another way, is we have a big volume bar that gets taken out by a seller, and that seller gets beat. Oh, but it's got to be by a triangle up. So this one, that's right. If it's the triangle up, you can take it right away. It's not. See how the triangle up did not get the VPOC above it? I got my setups mixed up. So this is the triangle up, and the VPOC is not above the high of the bar that got the VPOC below the high volume bar VPOC, right? A lot of VPOCs, but that triangle VPOC needs to be above this white line. So if the triangle was on this bar, it would have been a long, but the triangle is here, and the VPOC was below the white line, so there's nothing. And then we trap a star. Here's another one. Okay, we get big volume up. They try to go lower. They can't go lower. Right away, we should be thinking long. Typically, that's unusual. And then we get, oh, there's no triangle. If that had been a triangle with a pink bar up, it's usually a long. And so now if I get triangle pink bar up, it's a long, because I still have not taken this out with the VPOC. See, I got the VPOC below it, but on a bull bar. So I'm thinking high there. See how it's like, here's the diamond, triangle up, pink bar, higher. It's above the volume. In this case, it actually did come back and test it, and it just held twice. Right? If this one would have had a triangle up, it's probably okay to buy. It's just a little aggressive. And then, did you beat a linchpin dot? No apex. Not yet. Only on a pink bar. Now you've beaten it. So now I'm already thinking, like I said, I don't even know what happens next, but I see I've got on the big one I've got star at 10. Right? So by the time I get here, I've got a star. This is near the lower channel. Like most likely, as long as I keep going higher, any dips can be bought. As long as this, I should say, as long as this low holds, the dips and the trap back ends and stars and stuff should probably be bought. So I don't really want to be aggressively shorting this, but you can see that we did get a purple bar. So that's a big volume seller, and it's immediately followed by a triangle, but it's not purple, right? The purple bar is in the wrong place. This is like a really big triangle down. It might work. It's a plus bar, but usually I'm not going to take that short. I'm waiting for like the trap back in. But you can see that they did test the VPOC and then went lower. And so if you wanted to take it on like the pullback, I guess that's okay. But like I said, I'm thinking based on the higher time frame that I should be looking for longs here. But it might work. Okay, purple bar, green bar. Like I said, I saw these fail a lot today. It's not quite as good as the star, but let's see if they worked on Friday. Yeah, it struggles for a minute. And then the pink bar triangle up probably goes. Yep. So here, this is where all the volume is. This is the bar that beats it. To be bearish, I need to get a triangle down on a bar that beats that. And the VPOC needs to be below it. So see how close that was? We got a triangle down bar, but the VPOC couldn't get below the low of that VPOC, so I'm not bearish. This one too, no triangle, but VPOC's not below it. VPOC gets below it, it's bullish. Boom. And like I said, I'm not reviewing this. I'm just reading it based on this setup. So the setup not only tells you where you should be getting in, but it also kind of tells you a little bit about the direction. But having the higher time frames here helps a lot. Because I know, for instance, here I've gotten this triangle up. Before 37, like eventually you know that any pullback's going to get bought. But even with the 40 tick, I'm finding, like, once I've gotten this star triangle up at 20, right here, once I get this, like, what it looks like is I just want to retrace that a bit and get long. See that? I just want to get that retraced back to 06. And then basically any long is good. So this is okay. Stars are really good. Okay, here's another one. High volume. Right here. Right? So first thought, it's probably bearish. But like I said, higher time frame says sells might not work. But the volume method is saying only sell. And then it gives me purple bar triangle down. So you could sell it there. But it's clearly bullish. So I don't know if you'd want to. And then the purple bar star and then triangle up too. But this is good when you have the higher time frames showing star triangle up. This is going to work, especially at the bottom of the channel, a ton of the time. And now we beat this bar here, right here. So now this bar needs to be beat by triangle down to be bearish. Triangle down's way up here, right? So I'm not bearish. Volume, high volume. Immediately get a plus sign up. I'm not buying, but I'm bullish unless that gets beat. Okay, higher time frames are getting into the top of the channel. I might not want to buy up here. Okay, they just lift it, and that's okay. Again, this isn't bad. It's just a chase. It's just, yeah, like it's bullish. I just would prefer a pullback, and it really doesn't. That would be your only opportunity for a pullback after this. But I don't know if I like that. That's a linchpin dot, so you could put your stop there. You just can't get the VPOC below that. So no more high volume bars, right? But there was one here on this time frame. Triangle down. So look, this is the linchpin dot. If I get it below that, then the next short is probably sellable. I get a star here that triggers at 50s. That I wouldn't know about that yet. Again, I don't think I'm taking these out of position most of the time. Maybe I should be, but yeah, that they seem to fail a lot, even if they get the triangle up. They don't seem to work as well as I'd like them, as the stars do. So I'll take them on a really big pullback, but I'm not going to take them as a momentum trade. Even with the triangle, I don't think. Unless I've got them trapped. If they're trapped, it seems to work. Did I get an orange one trapped? Maybe that's why they start to work here. Did I trap an orange bar? Here's where the green starts to work. Right here, orange bar, trapped. Now green bars start to work. Orange bar, trapped. Green bars start to work. Green bar, trapped. Now they'll probably stop working. Okay, volume. All right. Okay, can we beat it? We get triangle down, but it's not pink, or it's not purple, right? And plus, I don't really have any reason to think I'm super bearish and we're right into support. But I want to see what happens when we pull back. If we can beat it, we do, right? We beat the VPOC of the big volume bar. Now I need a triangle down with a VPOC below that white line. Nope, not bearish. See, that one did not reach it. And there's no more high volume up here, so I'm not touching this. No, oh, look, I did get a triangle down on the 40 tick. And I got a star on the 67. So that occurs right here. Should pullbacks be sold? Right there. Is that a sell? Yeah. Okay, that makes sense. So the 40 tick, again, gave me, at the channel, top, star, triangle down. We came back into the top of the triangle and found a star on the smaller time frame. And the higher time frame also gave a star down. So at this point, I'm thinking sell. Even though I don't have the volume set up, triggering, I'm thinking sell. Then we get trap back in to the upside. And I guess this is maybe still valid. So it goes higher? Yeah. Wow. So the higher time frame had pink triangle up here, and that never got beat. And we're above the dotted line. So it really is bearish until we get a triangle down. So this scalp might have worked, but this is actually the trade we want. This is actually the trade we want. Interesting. So once we get this, even if I don't come all the way back here, see, like, this is the one that made sense to me here, like right away, getting the star when it's like still wave up. Once I kind of hit a target, the voodoo range level, and we started turning, I wasn't thinking bullish, especially when I got a star here, but we haven't gotten a triangle down. And even though we did get a triangle down here, when do we beat it? 60. By the time we beat it, it's too late, right? No, it's not. So on the 40 tick, we beat the triangle down and then pulled back and did a trap back in, and it lifts. That's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. Okay, bunch of volume. Doesn't really set up. Oh, maybe it does. Okay, trap back into those usually work. And when it doesn't, it's probably bullish. Does this one get beat? No. Trap back in. That probably works. Yeah, that was scary, but it worked. So this is just like this. Went behind it, sucked up all the liquidity, and sold off again. And so anything in here is sellable. And we did not get any bull bars with VPOCs above the big volume bars, which are here and here. So bears remain in control. And then if you look at the location, we got a star right at the top, which is like, it's either going sky high or it's gonna skunk them. So Okay, so then we go lower, not surprised. We get a trap back in. Does that work? Yep. This was trading really good. I didn't trade on Friday. I don't trade on Fridays because I have to work my regular job at the clinic. So I didn't get, but this is actually really nice rotations. Looking for volume. Oh, so the star up actually occurs here. So I was wrong. It doesn't. We didn't know what the star up yet. Yeah, so maybe it does just go straight up. See, this got star up as well. Triangle up right at the top. So it just explodes. Okay, that's fine. Oh, here's one. I didn't see this one and this one. Bearish one. Bearish ones I missed. Oh, did I miss this one too? Did I do these? I don't think I did these. Okay. Here's this. I need to beat it with a bearish bar with VPOC. Can't do it. I think it's bullish. Right? Here's another one. Beat it. It's beaten right here. Now I need a VPOC on a bullish triangle above this high. So close. It didn't quite get it on that one, so I need another triangle up. Right there. That's the long. Boom. On the short side, you'd be thinking above this, get trapped, above this, get trapped. So who beats it? This guy. Can we get a triangle down that gets under him, right? Who beats this? This guy. Get a triangle down below him. Nope. There's another one. Who beats this? It's this guy. VPOC above it. Get a triangle down below that. Again, we got double triangle, double stars here. Like that's a lot of pressure. I don't know why they're putting so much pressure at the top. It probably doesn't hold. Okay, triangle down below it. So that's probably a short. Yeah, it's awfully low on the channel, isn't it? It's not up here where I want it. This might only work if it's up. I think it has to happen relatively quickly. Because look, that's just like a bigger pullback. And there's no star at the top. Is there a star on this one? No. No star on the 40 tick either down. So there's no triangle down. There's no reason to think it's bearish in the higher time frame. Okay. Bunch of volume. I get purple down. You could just short it if you thought it was bearish. Otherwise, wait to see if we can break it and then trap somebody. But look, we got another one here. So we might trap a short too. Okay, there's a long to get trapped. So if you get triangle down below that, short. Oh, so close. Didn't get it. Good. Goes higher. That's great. So this bar didn't get a triangle. Otherwise, it would have been a long because of this one. It goes above it and gets triangle up. This one technically is a long, but it's pretty far away. Okay, so we just get more and more aggressiveness. Interesting. It just squeezed like crazy, I guess. Okay. Big volume. Can't break it. It's probably bearish. So we want this to have a triangle. Didn't quite get it. Big volume. Triangle down. Mini bar. That probably goes lower. It's not purple, but it's small. It's a good start. First opportunity probably to get a short right there. No more big volume bars. Is this after hours? Oh, it's after hours. Okay, big volume bar. Nobody can beat it. It's probably bullish. Oh, there. He gets under it. Beat him. So again, what I'm doing is I'm looking at the VPOCs. This one's here. The orange bars is lower. It closed bearish. It's not purple. So get above this with the triangle up. Nope. No long. That's good. And again, up here, they're trying to turn it. Did we get a triangle down? We did. We got a triangle down. It's a very big one. So I don't know. But we did not get a star. So let's see. How do they deal with this? Okay, so if we get triangle down right here, it'd be a short. Nope. No short. And no big volume? No more big volume. Oh, right here. Big volume. This one's equal to. This one's above, so it's got to be this. Triangle down below that. Nope. All bullish. And just no big volume to match. Okay, there. Mini bar down, that's probably a short. Again, it's not bearish, so I don't know if it'll. Yeah, it just stops. maybe it gets you 10 points, but it's definitely counter trend. Interesting. So if it really starts going, we looked at this before. If it really starts going, you gotta wait for that triangle down on the, at least on the 40 tick, because we haven't even had a triangle down on the 40 tick. But look at how this after hours just went straight up with no big volume. That's interesting. And of course it comes all the way back. This one had volume on the bigger time frame. And then mini bar down, that's a short. Yeah, beautiful. It actually rotated over London. Still no big volume though, not surprised. I could retool it because it's set up really for regular trading hours. The bigger bars will get them because they're